I was 20 years old when I got sick with meningococcal disease, walked on a college campus at risk of catching this disease. And yeah, I almost didn't make it. The thing about meningococcal disease is that your first onset symptoms are very flu-like, and it definitely was for me.
Hmm.
And then 10 hours later for me, I woke up in an immense amount of pain. I could barely walk on my own. I was very cold. And this is something I never really experienced before. So I felt like, yeah, hospital was the answer. And I'm glad I did. I wish I got there a little bit earlier, but I'm also glad that I got there in general, because the thing about this disease is that it can be fatal. And if I decided to sleep in that day, I mean, who knows where I would be right now. But when I got in, they put me in a semi-medicated coma immediately, and they put me on dialysis. And yeah, I would wake up from time to time and see my limbs go from red rash to purple to black to literally dying. Not the ideal scenario of what you think for college, not at all.
Hey everyone, this is Jonathan Marks from GoToHealth. I hope you're having a wonderful day. As teens gear up for school, sports, and college move-in, parents should be aware of an uncommon but very, very serious and life-threatening illness. The S to Be Sure campaign aims to educate parents of teens and young adults about meningococcal disease, also known as meningitis. It's an uncommon but serious and potentially deadly illness, as you'll hear. Now is a great time for parents to discuss meningitis risks and vaccination with their teen's doctor as part of the back-to-school health conversations. We're going to be talking with Dr. Micah Molopsky, pediatrician, Jamie, who's a cycling gold medalist and who experienced meningitis, and her mom, Patsy. If you want to learn more about this, please visit the website asktobesure.com. It's ask, the numeral 2, the letter B, and then sure, asktobesure.com. So welcome to the show, Dr. Michael Molopsky, pediatrician, Jamie, who's a cycling gold medalist who experienced meningitis, and her mom, Patsy. How are you all today?
We're great. Thank you for
Very well.
having us.
Thank you. Good. So, Jamie, you're a cycling gold medalist. Tell us about your history and then what happened when you contracted meningitis.
Yeah, so which one do you want first, the good or the bad? I'll start with the why we're here today, and then we'll
Oh,
get to the good stuff at the end.
great.
But yeah, so I was 20 years old when I got sick with meningococcal disease. I didn't know anything about it. I walked on a college campus at risk of catching this disease, and yeah, I almost didn't make it. The thing about meningococcal disease is that your first onset symptoms are very flu-like, and it definitely was for me.
Hmm.
And then 10 hours later for me, I woke up in an immense amount of pain. I could barely walk on my own. I was very cold. And this is something I never really experienced before. So I felt like, yeah, hospital was the answer. And I'm glad I did. I wish I got there a little bit earlier, but I'm also glad that I got there in general, because the thing about this disease is that it can be fatal. And if I decided to sleep in that day, I mean, who knows where I would be right now. But when I got in, there was a nurse there that guessed I had meningococcal disease, and they put me in a semi-medicated coma immediately, and they put me on dialysis. And yeah, I would wake up from time to time and see my limbs go from red rash to purple to black to literally dying.
Oh my gosh.
And I didn't leave the hospital for 7 months. Not the ideal scenario of what you think for college, not at all. But
Yes.
I ended up getting out of the hospital, and I was an amputee of all my fingers, and both my legs below the knee had to get amputated in order to survive. And they
Oh,
were like, okay, go back to school.
wow. Oh my God. I'm
So,
so
and,
sorry.
and I, and by the way, and I did go back to school and I did graduate, but it was very difficult, to become independent again and in a new body, like on the emotional, the physical tolls that this disease took on me, life-changing for sure. But yeah, a lot of amazing things did happen afterwards, and I'm glad that the hard part of the story was just in that year.
Yes.
So before I got sick, I was just a regular commuter on a bicycle living in Austin, Texas. It's a very cycling friendly type of town.
Yes.
And when I got out of the hospital, or when I was in the hospital, I definitely didn't think I would be cycling ever again. And I feel bad to be so naive about what amputees are capable of, which is so much. But yeah, so in 2008, I got sick. In 2009, I got out of the hospital and learned how to walk. And then in 2010, I found myself back on my bicycle. And
Mm.
then in
Mm.
2011, I was an internationally acclaimed because I was on the US cycling team. And
Oh, wow.
it was very, very exciting and very happy to participate in all of that. But while I do enjoy cycling and the freedom that it brings, this is my purpose in life. And I really do love educating and sharing people about my experience because just like other people that I share my story with, I also didn't know that meningococcal disease could have this impact.
Wow.
And so I try to share my story and make sure that people are aware that there are options out there that can help prevent this. And so, yeah, that's why we're here today. And thank you for having us and letting us share it with your audience. We're really grateful for that.
It's a very amazing, inspiring story. So you got this gold medal following the meningitis.
Yes.
Not
Yeah. That's
before,
a
but
not,
following it. You came
yes.
back from this
Yes.
and got a gold medal in cycling. That's absolutely incredible. That really shows the strength of your character. I'm really so impressed. So, Patsy, you're the mom. What was this like for you? This must have been so devastating.
Yeah, devastating is an understatement because, Jamie's my youngest of four and they had all gone off to college. So you send them to college with my blessings and, be safe and don't do anything I wouldn't do kind of scenario. But
Yes.
it's, yeah, then you get a call that no parent wants to receive. You need to get over here ASAP. Jamie's in the hospital and we don't really know if she's going to survive. It was
Mm.
within hours. I'm going to get the call the next day. That's how quick meningococcal disease can happen. So time is of the essence. And watching and being by Jamie's bedside for those 7 months was
Yeah.
just devastating. And
Mm.
we're here today and we're certainly grateful to have this opportunity, but I'm just a mom. I'm not a physician research expert, but I'm going to tell you my experience with this, and I would not want any other parent to have to go through this. So when we have resources and opportunities like this website, asktobesure.com, is
Yes.
GSK Health Initiative. So asktobesure.com is going to give you all of the answers to your questions. And as we're coming into the new school year starting and you're sending your child off to college, and you've got a checklist of everything that's needed for the dorms. And by the way,
Mm.
Jamie didn't even live in a dorm. She lived off campus. So this is a disease that, these students are like ants living on, in
Yes.
her university, 40 acres, and there's tens of thousands of kids just interacting. And,
Yes.
you know, yes. So this disease is devastating. And unfortunately, I know a lot of parents that have lost a child to this. So
Mm.
if I can advise somebody, yes, go to this resource, get all the answers to your questions so that when you go to your teen's doctor, you already have a little bit of knowledge and hopefully take that and make the decision to protect your child.
Thank you for your work on this. 7 months of seeing Jamie's recovery must have been absolutely incredible. I'm so glad that you did that, and she recovered and as recovered as beautifully as she has. It really testifies to the strength of both of your characters. So, Dr.
Well,
Malopsky.
she didn't mention that she's actually now going to be competing in rock climbing for the 2028 Olympics, so Paralympics.
Wow, that's
She's
amazing.
gone on to another sport.
God, incredible. That's amazing. So, Dr. Malopsky, tell us, what is meningitis, who's at risk, and what's the importance of getting your kid vaccinated?
So meningococcal disease, which is more commonly known as bacterial meningitis, is an uncommon but serious illness, and it can cause permanent complications or even death, and that can sometimes happen in as quickly as 24 hours. About 1 in 10 people who contract meningitis will die, and 1 in 5 among survivors will suffer long-term consequences, so limb loss, neurologic damage, or hearing loss.
Hmm.
And anyone is susceptible to meningococcal disease, but this is particularly relevant for parents to know before sending their teens off to college. Given that among teens and young adults, 16 through 23-year-olds have the highest rates of the disease in the United States.
Hmm.
And even if your teen or young adult is healthy, certain everyday behaviors that are common in a college setting, like kissing or sharing food, sharing utensils, sharing drinks, coughing, living in a group setting like a dorm or a shared apartment or military housing even, can spread the bacteria that cause meningococcal disease. So parents really should have a pointed conversation with their teen's doctor about bacterial meningitis risks and vaccination.
So I understand there are 5 different types of meningococcal disease. I can't remember all the letters, A, B, C, Y,
The five
X. You'll tell
strains
us.
of there are 5 strains of the bacteria that can all cause meningococcal disease:
I see.
A, C, W, Y, and meningococcal group B,
Okay.
all capable of making someone sick with the same picture.
And I've heard we've done previous shows on kids who were vaccinated for some of these, but not all of them, and they contracted
Yeah.
meningitis. So parents have to make sure that their kids get vaccinated against all 5. Is that now common?
Yes, so there are different meningitis vaccines available. So even if your teen might have received vaccination against, let's say, meningococcal group A, C, W, and Y in the past, which usually occurs like in middle school, earlier in childhood, they could still be missing vaccination against meningitis group B. And it can be confusing to know if your teen's been vaccinated against bacterial meningitis and if they've already gotten a particular series and if they've received the recommended follow-up doses. So this is why it's so important to ask your teen's doctor about it, and so important for parents to be proactive, because they need to often be the ones that start the conversation. Doctor visits, especially the ones that occur in the late summer, early fall, as kids are getting ready to head off to school, can be crowded with a lot of things that people need. And you don't want this conversation to get lost. And the ask2besure.com website, which is or GSK's informational website all about this topic, is an amazing resource for parents. Ask number 2 letter B sure SURE.com, and it has an amazing amount of detailed information about meningococcal disease and bacterial meningitis and vaccination.
So I hate to ask this question, but it's just come up in our society these days. Vaccination. Are vaccines just a way for drug companies to make money? Please argue against that for me.
So, all right, here's so before I answer that, I'm gonna give you the context. I've been practicing pediatrics for 30 years, almost 30 years. I have 7 children of my own.
Mhm.
Vaccines, if you're asking about vaccines in general, vaccines are the single greatest advance in human history as far as protecting children's health and well-being and preventing disease and death. Full stop. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Here,
Good.
here.
So, Patsy and Jamie, you're part of the Ask to Be Sure campaign. And let me just repeat, it's ask the numeral 2, the letter B, and then sure, ask2besure.com. When people go there, what will they learn?
Yeah, they'll find more information about they'll find more information about vaccinations and risk prevention when it comes to meningococcal disease. You know, a lot of times people will think, oh, my kid got that. Maybe they didn't, because
Mhm.
there is vaccination out there for meningococcal disease, the strain B, and oftentimes that's not grouped in with their vaccination schedules. And so that's what we're encouraging everyone to have that conversation, make sure that they are aware that, oh, maybe they don't have Men B.
Mhm.
Doctor, do you want to add anything to that?
I think there's a big knowledge gap and understanding about the different vaccine series and the different strains of meningitis, particularly meningitis B. Once again, most families don't know anybody who's ever had this. They've never run into anybody, and it's outside of their personal experience.
Sure.
And so it's really important. This is why the conversation with your child's doctor to understand what your risks are and about your options with meningococcal vaccination.
Patsy, what message would you have for parents?
Well, and I probably would add that, we often talk about meningococcal disease as uncommon, but it's not so uncommon when it happens to you or
Mhm.
your child.
Mhm.
And it's certainly deadly and devastating. Again, in all my years of advocating for education, awareness, information, it's very sad to come across people that families have been devastated by this disease. So, as a mom, I don't want other parents to have to go through this. And as uncommon as people want to say it is, not so uncommon not to watch your child have to go through what she's gone through.
Yeah.
It's quite devastating. I'm certainly blessed that my daughter's alive and with us, but not always the case. And so, good resource on asktobesure.com.
Great. Good. So, any final messages you'd each like to leave with people today? What's the important message? Doctor, we'll start with you.
That parents need to be proactive and have this conversation with your teen's doctor about this topic, about bacterial meningitis risks and vaccination.
Patsy, final message?
Definitely, as want to reiterate what Dr. Malowski just said, as you're going to go see your teen's doctor, have that conversation with them.
Great. And this is especially important as the school year starts, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Good. And Jamie, a final message from you, please.
No, just to add on what you're saying. Yeah, this is the time where the kids are home and, they're about to go back to school. And there is a time, especially when it comes to if they're in sports, I believe, where they have to, make sure that they're going to their doctors. So this is a great opportunity to have those discussions because no one wants to go through what I did. It was a nightmare experience that I could not wake up from. And I still have to live this life as an amputee. And there are some serious long-term consequences that I'm having to deal with even today, even though that's happened almost 20 years ago. And I don't want people to think this might not happen to me, but what if it did?
Mm-hmm.
I just want people to make the right decision and talk to their doctors and be proactive about this because, vaccinations can help, especially with this. So thank you.
It's really such a simple thing to do. Talk to your doctor. Make sure your kid is vaccinated against all 5 types. There's not just one, but all 5 types of meningitis so that they don't have to go through something horrible as Jamie and Patsy have. Thank you all for being with us today. We've been talking with Dr. Michael Molopsky, pediatrician. Jamie and Patsy, you've come on GoToHealth to educate us about the importance of vaccination for young adults against the 5 types of meningitis, which can be terribly debilitating and life-threatening. All of you are now advocates for the campaign asktobesure.com, educating us about the importance of vaccination against all 5 forms of meningitis, particularly for young adults. Thanks for being with us. This has been Jonathan Marks with GoToHealth. Remember, you can see us on YouTube, on our website at GoToHealthMedia.com. We've got over 300 shows all about evidence-based medicine, and that's what we're talking about today. We thank you for being with us. We'll see you again next time. And as we say at the end of every show, go to health. God bless. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye. Thank you all. It was great. Thank you for tuning in today to Go to Health. You are one of almost 10,000 people per day who enjoy the evidence-based health information offered by our guest health experts. You can watch us on our website and YouTube and listen to us on 8 podcast networks. Be sure to join Jonathan Marks in our upcoming shows each week. If you like our show, please share this episode with your friends and colleagues. You can subscribe to the show, join our email list, send us feedback, browse through the online store, and view our library of over 150 shows at GoToHealthMedia.com. See you next time, and remember to elevate your life with Go to Health.